In the years 1899 to 1901, there was a war in South Africa between the British Empire and the two Boer republics, and the war was about gold. The British wanted the gold, and the two Boer republics said, no, we're going to fight you. It was a horrible war. It lasted for about 3 years, and the British took such heavy losses that they knew if they want to beat the Boers or beat them into submission, they had to change their operational tactics and their overall strategy. And what they did was, the Boers fought in small guerrilla units, between 30 and 300 of them, and inflicting incredibly hard losses on the British cumbersome British war machine. And the British knew they'll have to change their tactics, but they couldn't. They were locked into a way of waging a war. So what they did was they instituted the scorched earth policy. And the scorched earth policy was to destroy the countryside, destroy all the farms, destroy the crops, destroy all the animals, horses, everything. They just burnt two republics down. 35,000 farms were burnt down. 4 million hectares of crops was destroyed. 3 million head of cattle was killed. 400,000 horses were killed. There was nothing left. It looked like a post-nuclear apocalyptic landscape. There was nothing left. And the Boers still had to operate within this environment. And in the last year of the war, there was 18,000 Boers left of the original 55,000. And in the duration of the war, 420,000 British soldiers came to South Africa. What very few people know is that during the time of the bitter enders, more than 3,000 of these bitter enders, of the 18,000, was boys, 15 years and younger, as young as 10 years old, fighting side by side with fathers and uncles and grandfathers and brothers. And the British were really, really scared of them, because the Boers had three things that the British press spoke about: was unbelievable marksmanship, horsemanship, and a never say never faith in God. So what happened was, my story starts, and it's inspired by actual events and real people. 7 boys decide to make a run for the West Coast. That was part of the Cape Colony, that was already part of the British Empire. They're going to make a run. The war can't last that long. They're going to take their chances and run. They're too young to die in this war, and they're going to make a run for it. And this story is how this journey is actually more than 500 miles to get to the West Coast. And on their journey, they meet this amazing 15-year-old girl that's a lone survivor on a farm that was demolished by explosives. She joins them, and the story is what they did to survive. And one of the things that really turned everything for them was they were dying of malnutrition. They had no warm clothes in the middle of a bitterly cold winter. Their horses were dead on their feet, and they attacked a small unit of British Royal Engineers building a blockhouse. Things go horribly wrong in the pre-dawn attack. 22 British soldiers are killed, 6 of them left for dead. They get what they need. They get fresh horses, ammo, food, new clothes, blankets. They make a run, and in steps Captain Alan Shuttleworth, that was a captain with the King's Dragoon Guards on attached duty with the Kitchener Scouts, that was a specialist counterinsurgency unit that ran hunter-killer operations on the Cape Colony border with the Free State along the Orange River. And he makes it his personal endeavor to hunt these kids down, and what ensued was one of the biggest manhunts in the history of the Anglo-Boer War. But what he doesn't know is the boy he's hunting, that's the leader of the group, was in fact the girl. And she, through the entire story, she's dressed as a boy. She doesn't play the girl card. She's dressed as a boy. She fights like a boy. She's like a cross between Lara Croft and Mother Teresa. But she's part of the crew. One of the boys are still the leaders, but she's the instigator, she's the planner, she's the strategist, and she's still a mother to all of them. And there's a bit of a love story in one of the boys falls in love with her, but they're just 15 years old, and they've got to make all these adult decisions. So kids in a situation like this is about children that never had the time to be adults, but all they had was each other, their faith in God, their friendship, their camaraderie, their loyalty, and willing to die for each other, which they did. It's a heartbreaking story in one of the most beautiful, also inhospitable parts of the country of South Africa. It looks like the Gobi Desert. It's radical, but it's a heartwarming, heartbreaking, beautiful story that's never been written before. There's never going to be a movie like this before, because this is part of history that's just disappeared, and it's got all the hallmarks of a great Western, of courage and commitment, of camaraderie, and that your yes is your yes and your no is your no, and you don't back down. And failing is a reality, but they continue doing what they did for each other. And this story develops. It's a long story. The book is quite short. It's only 53,000 words, but the movie is about 2 hours long. The movie script is about 2 hours long, and it's a heartbreaking, gripping, can't put the book down story of courage and of the type of person all of us would like to be, but are very scared to be. And it breaks your heart. 500 Mile breaks your heart, because it's about what could have been and that never was, and that all the possibilities. And it's just about 7 kids wanting to survive. Guaranteed whoever reads the book will change their life forever, because this happened. Thank you for your time.